government by the far right. Thank you, Chairman.
Senator Schmitt.
Thank you. I want to first say a brief word on the judicial nomination success that just happened within the last week that we led right here in this committee, kicking the woke, failed American Bar Association out of its privileged spot in the judicial selection process. In March, I sent a letter along with 4 other members of this committee informing the American Bar Association that we would no longer consider ABA recommendations on pending legislation or nominees, crippling their role in the Senate's piece of the judicial confirmation process. Last Friday, Attorney General Bondi joined our cause, telling the ABA that it would be treated no differently than any other leftist activist group in the DOJ piece of the judicial confirmation process. I invite the rest of my colleagues to join this important cause. The ABA is an ideologically captured institution, and it has failed in its core mission. While the ABA stayed silent during the weaponization of our justice system under Merrick Garland and Joe Biden, the ABA now has something to say on nearly every policy position by the Trump administration. Beyond that, the ABA has embraced cultural Marxism by forcing its DEI and woke initiatives on law schools across the country. When we look at these videos from law school graduations, we see activists, not lawyers, not future jurists, not people who can keep our streets safe. And this is downstream from the disastrous policies put in place by the American Bar Association. The American Bar Association is also biased in its judicial selection process against Republican presidents' nominees. It is high time for us to completely sever our link once and for all. This committee should treat the ABA no differently than any other leftist activist group in our internal process for future legislative recommendations. And I applaud Attorney General Bondi for taking this pivotal step at DOJ. Ms. Hermendorfer, with that being said, I see that you were a member of the ABA while in law school. It's okay. We all make youthful indiscretions. I'm not going to hold that against you. I've seen a lot of resumes in my previous job and in this one, and it's very impressive. I think the breadth and the range of your experience, who you've had a chance to work with, who you've got a chance to sort of be mentored by, now in your role playing a similar role in mentoring lawyers and taking up important causes in Tennessee. That experience spans from, administrative law and free speech cases that often would come before the Supreme Court. I think it's important to point out that in many ways that breadth of experience can compare very well to somebody with maybe a perhaps more narrow focus for a longer period of time. In that experience, how do you think you bring that to this position that you're being nominated for? A very important position, that experience you've had.
Sure. So I think familiarity with the subject matter, the bread and butter of federal courts of appeals are statutory interpretation, interpreting other legal texts, applying constitutional rules, and I've had the opportunity to immerse myself in that at the highest level for the past number of years now. And so I think familiarity with the subject matter allows you to immediately come in with confidence and carry out your Article III role in deciding what the cases require holding. And I think being able to jump in is especially important given that many of these cases do proceed on an expedited timeline, and I've litigated emergency cases in the Sixth Circuit, and you're often under the gun. And I think my practice has been very fast-paced, preliminary injunction motions, emergency appeals, and so that pace and complexity combined will, I would hope, suit me well to make an impact and help the court discharge its duties.
I think, given the uniqueness of your background and the number of, justices on the Supreme Court that you've had a chance to work with, what would you say what experience specifically would you say you've drawn from any one of them as far as decision-making or temperament?
I think humility is one thing that really comes to mind. It is an extraordinary power, the Article III power, to decide cases and controversies and settles parties' rights in the most important cases, at least to the parties and certainly to the country sometimes. And with that power, again, comes great responsibility and humility to understand the proper role of a judge is to interpret the law and not to make the law or bend the law to whatever policy preferences the judge might have individually. And I think the justices and judge for whom I've clerked are models of that.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.